Alright guys here, and welcome to my sub-rogue guide for Battle for Azeroth patch 8.0.1. So in this guide here we're gonna take a look at quite a few different things, basically everything you need to know to play your sub-rogue here optimal. So let's dive into it, shall we? Alright guys here, so let's talk about some of the advantages that sub-rogues have. And one of those are not necessarily AoE damage, but damage in AoE situation to a single target. Because that is where sub-rogues excel. You can do crazy amount of damage and really big eviscerate crits here to a single target with shuriken combo. So that's basically stacking your shuriken combo to do more damage. You do this by hitting multiple targets here with shuriken storm, and you can do around 50 to 60k crit here. In my current gear that is 330. The way you want to do this here for like bosses and trash packs in Mythic Plus, for example, is if you have two targets, then you want to use Shuriken Storm outside of Shadow Dance. You still want to do Shadow Strike in Shadow Dance if you have two targets. If you have three or more, then it's Shuriken Storm all the way. Shuriken Storm eviscerates, Shuriken Storm eviscerates. The more eviscerates you can get out of this, the better. But try to see if you can have a 5 or 6 combo points of this here, since we are using a deeper stratagem, and 5 stacks of Shuriken Storm or Shuriken combo onto your target. This will yield some really nice DPS, and your group will love you for it. So, stat-wise, your main stat will always be agility whenever it is single target or multi-target, that doesn't matter. Agility will always be the best here. And for single target, crit is the best one, then it's haste, then it's versatility, and then it is mastery. And that is the like cookie cutter talent or stat set, I would say. I would always recommend you simulate your character to see which stats are best for you. For example here, since I am using a slow offhand weapon, in this case here, haste is way better than anything else for me. But if you're going double daggers, then it will use. They are pretty much even here. Blizzard have decided to make it so simple as possible. So basically, if a item have a higher item level, then it's gonna be better for you. So the stats are quite similar, and your main stat will be the best, and the main stat on the item will likely be much higher than both the other stats combined. So you will get a fairly similar. So we don't have to simulate every single piece of gear to see if is it an upgrade. I'm not sure. So if it's higher item level, it's likely an upgrade. Although trinkets, I think, can be a bit different, and weapons maybe, depending on your situation. But we'll have to see how this goes here. Although I still always recommend simulating your character for which items are best. For multi-target, the cookie cutter, as I would say, would be agility. Mastery here, because it increases your damage on your eviscerate, and eviscerate is gonna do basically all your damage in a multi-target situation. Then crit, then versatility, and then haste, because you're gonna do so many finishers and regenerate a lot of energy from those finishers. So haste is not that useful in multi-target situations. That's it for stats. So let's take a look at talents and traits and rotations. Alright, so let's take a look at what talents we will be using here for our sub-rogue spec. So first up here, I've chosen Find Weakness. This is really the only one you can go with. This is your bread and butter here. Keeping this up as much as possible with your cheap shot. Not as often as Shadow Strike, but basically spam Shadow Strike to keep this up here. We'll also be using Vanish to refreshing Find Weakness when we can't use Shadow Strike and Shadow Dance to keep this up. Shadow Focus, this has been changed from before here when it was only when in stealth, so now it also counts for in Shadow Dance, which gives a 20% less energy cost on stuff like Shadow Strike and Shadow Strike. Shadow Strike and Shadow Strike, that's what we'll be using. So Shadow Focus, definitely the main choice. The other two here, maybe later in the expansion when we have a bit more energy regen and a bit more haste, we can maybe take option of Night Stalker better. But this here will help us to make sure we can have 5 global cooldowns in one Shadow Dance, which is super nice. The next row here is the best is Mark for Death if you look at simulations. Although I feel like Mark for Death make the spec a bit clunky, and in other situations where you have a lot more mobs or have some extra mobs, Deeper Stratagem is definitely an advantage because you can fill them up much faster with the Shuriken Storm, and it just, I feel like it flows much better than Mark for Death. I tried out both on multiple nights of gaming, and I prefer Deeper Stratagem. The simulations difference is 100-ish DPS. So it's not like it's going to make or break it. But if you don't play Mark for Death perfectly, then Deeper Stratagem will... In a real world scenario, I would say Deeper Stratagem would be better. Next row is purely optional. It is survival. For dungeons and raids, I would recommend Cheat Death for world stuff. Or Heroic Spams, if you're like not sure if your healer is something good, you're queuing with a random healer. Soothing Darkness can be a compelling option. I would almost always take Prayer of the Week here in the next, even though it's not that... It is an optional row here. It doesn't have that much to say in how much DPS you're going to do on bosses, because you can't CC them or stun them or anything. But in Dungeons, Prayer of the Week, especially since they changed it, so it's not the duration of the stun, but it's for 6 seconds, which is the max duration of your longest stun. So, Prayer of the Week, 10% damage from all sources, which means your entire raid group or dungeon group. Good point here. Available sharing, more Shadowlands. Yes, Shadowlands is our bread and butter together with 5 Meekness, so let's take this one. And here, in a scenario where we have more stats, more energy regen, Dark Shadows is likely going to be better with 25% extra damage while Shadow Dance is active. And in the last row, for Dungeons and Mythic Plus, Secret Technique is likely going to be better here. But since there's no time frame, and it doesn't matter how fast you clear Mythic Dungeons and other dungeons right now, I would stick to Master of Shadows. So that wraps it up for the talents here. So let's go and take a look into the artifact, not artifact, Legion still on the brain, into the Azeroth, what's it called? Heart of Azeroth thing. The Azerite armor pieces. Azerite armor pieces, that's what they're called. Azerite armor. So the one I have here, Blade in the Shadow, is the best trait. Period. There's nothing better than this here. So since we're going to be using Shadow Strike for the majority of the time, compared to some of the other traits, it's like this here is more than 10 times the DPS gain than some of the other traits. So if you can find some pieces that have Blade in the Shadow, yes, then you're set for life. Or until you get another piece that is higher item level. Because item level. And since they've changed, we'll talk more about that later, but since they changed some of the things, item level. Blade in the Shadow is like it stacks more damage onto your Shadow Strike the more you use it. And you can keep this up permanent. So this is basically 870 damage more on your Shadow Blade. And if you can get it on other pieces, on this one here I have Inevitability. It should be the second best compared to some of the sources I've checked and some of the simulations I've done. Should be the second best. There are some scenarios where it's not. But Backstab and Shadow Strike do additional damage. And extends the durations of your Symbols of Death by half a second. So a bit more Symbols of Death time, more damage. So those are the only one I kind of feel like that's worth talking about. There's, again here, the first dance I found to be kind of nice. If you can time it so you have your Eviscerate right as the first thing you do as going into Shadow Dance, then the first dance can be really good. Again, some of yours, there's some that are super pointless. And there's some that is good for AoE, there's some that is good for single target. Again, it all depends what you want to focus on. If you're more Mythic Plus type or if you're more rating type, then you might want to choose different ones. But here, again, I can recommend simulating your character and with raid bots or simulation craft, checking up on stuff to see what is best for your specific use case. But yeah, this is basically the talents and traits I would go with. Take, as I said before here, the Blade in the Shadows whenever you can. And I would almost even go to say that it might be better skipping 5 item levels if you can get a Blade in the Shadow on a lower item. But in this Pokemon world here, I would still recommend keeping the item in your bags in case they change it, because this is really strong compared to some of the other talents. I feel like it could be something that could be subject to a nerf soon. So onto the opener and rotation and how you're actually gonna play single target here. So the first thing we are gonna do is that I'm gonna go over like what you need to do and what you need to know and how we're gonna do the opener. So the first thing here is we're gonna use Shadow Blades before we open. Then we're gonna use a Shadow Strike and a Backstab. The Backstab is optional depending on what challenge you're using. For deeper stratagem, I find it very useful to use a Backstab here so we can get a bit more time on our Nightblade, which we're gonna use after the Backstab. So, Shadow Blade, Shadow Strike, Backstab, Nightblade. Then we're gonna go into our burst. So we're gonna pop Symbols of Death, and we're gonna pop Shadow Dance. And then we're gonna go into our spam of Shadow Strike, Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, Shadow Strike. And you can get 5 globals in every Shadow Dance if you make sure you pool up enough energy. This is one of the common mistakes many rogues do, that they don't pool sufficient energy before going into the burst. So remember to pool at least 60 energy for every Shadow Dance. So and that's what we're going to do here. And then we're going to go into our second Shadow Dance before using Eviscerate after the first Shadow Dance, because we're going to end up with a lot of combo points right as we go out of the Shadow Dance. And we're going to have global cooldown up, and that's going to, if you try to fit it in, it's not going to make it. It's not possible due to the way time works, unfortunately. So we're going to Shadow Dance and then Eviscerate, because we gain a damage bonus on the Eviscerate from the Shadow Dance. So we're going to use that first. And since Eviscerate is basically all our damage, we are going to pop the Shadow Dance first so we can increase our Eviscerate. And then we're going to continue Shadow Strike, Eviscerate, Shadow Strike, Shadow Strike. We are likely going to come out with like 3 combo points. So, and then it is soon time to refresh our Nightblade. So I would recommend the Backstab depending on how your crits were and how many combo points you have. It varies. If you feel like it, a little Backstab and a Nightblade. Always try to refresh your Nightblade outside of Shadow Dance. And cooldowns, we're going to use Shadow Dance and Symbols of Death on cooldown. Although, if your Symbols of Death is ready and you're almost going to have time for a Shadow Dance, or if that's coming up soon, wait a bit with the symbols so you can time it up. It's good to keep those together if you can. So, but yeah, let's try and see here how the opener and rotation looks. So we're going to start in stealth, pop a potion that we don't have. And then we're going to go into our Shadow Blades. Shadow Strike, Backstab there, and our burst cooldowns. Ta-da! Eviscerate, see ya. And before I can use that, I'm going to be out of the Shadow Dance. So we're going to pop the Shadow Dance first before we do the Eviscerate. And I used the Backstab there, Nightblades. And now we can go in here to the Shadow Dance again here because we are a little too early on the Eviscerate there. But don't cap the last combo point if you're at 5. Always just go with 5. That minimizes the chance of you missing. So yeah, we're refreshing our Nightblade outside of Shadow Dance. Symbols of Death again here. We are continuing. Eviscerate here so we can get up. Make sure we have 60 energy. Although that Eviscerate should probably be in a Nightblade here. So now you can see what happens if you don't refresh it. So now we're off Nightblade and we're going to have to refresh it now. So we can stab. If you don't have a Shadow Dance, you can Vanish and use that Vanish to get that Find Weakness up again to give you a little more damage. So we wait a bit here. Ta-da. Refresh. So there I lost a combo point since I Shadow Strike with my 5 combo points. So that would have gone to 7 if I could have 7. So here, instead of the eviscerate, I see that. So we're going to use this here. And we have full energy pretty much. And we go into our burst again. And we keep... This is basically what you keep doing. You keep trying to do the finishes so you can get more shadow dances. And this is just the way we keep going. Remember to use Symbols of Death here on cooldown, even though you don't have much to do with it. It gives you a bunch of extra energy, and it's a waste to just leave it. 60 energy into Shadow Dance again. You know how this is going right now. So yeah, this is basically it. And yeah, I know the DPS might not be accurate. If it should be, I should probably been standing here like a real rogue behind the target. But yeah, this is basically it for the rotation and opener. Alright guys, that is going to be it for this video here. I hope you liked it. If you liked it, you can hit the subscribe button and like the video. That helps me out a lot. Please let me know what you thought of it in the comments below. And maybe if something changed, you can let me know that down there as well if I didn't catch up to it. Hopefully I'll see you in the next video, or maybe on the live stream. We are live streaming over at twitch.tv/killakristv. Hopefully I'll see you there. Take care guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!